A solid ending to a fantastic season. Hey everyone, Ryan Reed here, and today we're talking about the 6th and final episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Curse of the Shadows. Now, if this is your first time watching one of these videos, definitely make sure to go check out episode 6 of Curse of the Shadows before coming back to this video, because there will be spoilers. Now, to start everything off, I just want to say that this episode was a great way to end this season. It was so much better than Carnival of Doom, and I know I've said that a couple times throughout the reviews, but it just bears repeating how good this season is. It seems like they really understood what fans of the show wanted, what people didn't really respond to in the previous season, and they just made a really great story. And because of that, I really look forward to what the future holds for Are You Afraid of the Dark? If you'd asked me that at the end of Carnival of Doom, I maybe would have been a little bit more hesitant, but now I definitely feel like the series is in good hands. To open up this episode, they did something kind of weird where they had Connor basically recap everything that he had done at the very beginning of this episode, which I found a little strange. After all, we've already kind of pieced together what Connor was doing, and the Midnight Society has talked about it. And I feel like if you're jumping in at episode 6 and you haven't seen the rest of the season, it's a little weird to begin with, so you really should watch the rest of the series. But for people who have already watched all of the series, this recap just feels kind of unnecessary, and it's the opening before the title sequence. So it felt a little odd in that regard. But I would say that that's one of the few missteps in this episode. The rest of it is just really fantastic, really well done. The plot's pretty simple. Basically, Luke goes and saves the rest of the Midnight Society that were all trapped in the dark house, and after they're all rescued, they go back in time to prevent the curse of the Shadow Man from ever even happening. And they succeed. That's pretty much the entire episode, but it was a good way to wrap everything up, and it had a lot of really solid moments within it. The first thing I wanted to point out, being an old school fan of the original Are You Afraid of the Dark, was the fact that Richard Dumont is back as Sardo. The original Sardo is here in this episode. While Connor is doing his seance with our current day Sardo, he basically shows him a bunch of flashbacks to help him piece together what he needs to do in order to stop the curse. And one of those flashbacks is him as a kid in the magic shop trying to learn how to do like a magic lock, like a little lockpick thing. And the person there is Sardo, is Richard Dumont as that character. It's a very brief scene, but it was so cool to see that there and to just tie in the original series with this series. Like, it worked for me. I was so happy to see that. It made me so happy. I even let out like a little audible gasp because I'm just such a huge Are You Afraid of the Dark nerd. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. They actually brought him back. If the series wasn't already great enough, this season in particular, that just made my day. That made me so happy to see. There's a cool element in this episode when Luke goes to save everybody from the dark house, and they learn that they basically have to use the light that Luke has to create shadows so they can interact with objects between dimensions in order for the Midnight Society to unlock the door and escape. And I thought that was a really clever thing to do. I did feel it was a little rushed. After all, everyone was taken by the Shadow Man at the very end of the last episode, and pretty much the beginning of this episode, they figure out how to save everybody. But it does lead to kind of the big ending of the show, so I can kind of understand why we needed to get everyone back together. But it was a cool element nonetheless. And that actually leads into one of the more emotional moments of the episode, where we see Connor walk Zoe into the light and see her just like disappear. Again, this season's been really good about those just subtle, quiet moments. Again, I said this all throughout these reviews, but it's really nice to see a show that doesn't really talk down to its audience, and it allows emotional moments to happen, even though this is a Nickelodeon show. Also, I thought it was incredibly clever in the way that they tied in the signatures to save the lighthouse with our Midnight Society going back in time. I don't know why I didn't think about that all throughout this season. There's a moment where they even look at her petition and they're like, oh, she was only a few signatures short. I should have probably figured it out then that, oh, maybe the Midnight Society will have something to do with that. But it just never crossed my mind until they said, we have to go and save the lighthouse. And I was like, oh, of course, they're probably going to use the signatures. And that is what happens. The writers, again, just did a fantastic job this season and just made such a well-crafted, interconnected season. As far as the ending goes, of course, we know that our Midnight Society is probably going to defeat the Shadow Man, and in fact, they do. They end up saving June. They end up changing things in the future for them, and since June is alive and the lighthouse never shut down. Zoe is an adult. We see later on that she survived. Of course, Sardo survived, which made me so incredibly happy to see, because I just want to see more of this character. Again, Ryan Beal just so good in this role. You could argue that the ending is a little cheesy maybe in the way that it wraps everything up so perfectly and nicely, and the fact that everyone is back to life and everyone's back. But you know what? I felt like throughout the entire season they'd done such a great job of subverting my expectations of what I thought that it was earned. You know, that ending was nice. It was nice to actually have a really positive, nice ending, considering all of the kind of despair that they put into this season. On a personal little note, I did find out that the teacher is officially a teacher, because this entire season I've made note that I don't know if she's a teacher or a principal, but they finally clarified that and said that she was a history teacher. She has a little moment with Sardo that, again, it's fine. It's such a small moment. I'm not going to sit here and, complain about it. But it was a little, overly goofy for me. Also, why does she have 15 pencils in her hair? I know, one or two, but, was that a thing I missed? That, gradually throughout the season, did she get more and more pencils in her hair? It was a little bit too wacky. But that's kind of the line that they've walked with this character, where they're unclear on how wacky to make her. Again, such a minor thing, though, that I'm not gonna make a big deal out of it at all. It's so small. But it was just, again, one of those things where I notice every time they bring this character in, I'm like, they just can't figure this out, can they? But maybe, again, maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm the one noticing that. I'm sure plenty of other people got laughs out of her jokes. I thought that the school dance was a good way to kind of wrap everything up, show where all of our characters have been and how much they've grown and how they've changed. That was really nice to see. And it leads to a really fun meta discussion between Jay and just another character, a side character, where they're talking about the ghastly grinner. Again, reference to the old school Are You Afraid of the Dark? And Jay is saying, the return of the ghastly grinner is great. And she's debating that and saying, yeah, but the original is always going to be the best. And he basically says, yeah, but you can have fun with the new stuff too. And obviously, not only was that just kind of a fun, sweet moment, but it was also a really cool way to kind of wrap up how I feel about this season. Yes, I will always enjoy and hold near and dear to my heart the original series of Are You Afraid of the Dark? But that doesn't mean that a reboot has to necessarily be bad. It doesn't mean that you can't like both things. Was it the original series? No, it wasn't. But it was its own thing that referenced and paid homage to what the original series was. And I really have to respect what they did with this season. It's so good. It just works. Even if this wasn't Are You Afraid of the Dark, I would have enjoyed this season. But the fact that it was Are You Afraid of the Dark just makes me so happy. Again, talking about Carnival of Doom, not the worst thing, but that season left me kind of disappointed. Going into this season, seeing how this season turned out, I have such high hopes for another season of Are You Afraid of the Dark, and I hope it happens. I haven't heard of any news yet. If anybody out there does know anything, please leave a comment down below, because I'd love to know if season 3 is for sure happening. This was just such a blast to watch. I had so much fun, and not only did it make me feel nostalgic for my Are You Afraid of the Dark, the Are You Afraid of the Dark I grew up with, it also just gave me a really fantastic show to watch. And ultimately, that's all I can ask for. Make something entertaining, a little scary, a little fun, and you've got yourself a winning recipe. And I think that's exactly what they did here. So, if anybody who worked on the show is watching this, just know you did a great job. Everything was fantastic. Sadly, though, that's going to wrap up Are You Afraid of the Dark? Curse of the Shadows. It's kind of a bummer because I've been enjoying doing these weekly reviews on this show. So that being said, if you've watched all of these and you want to see me talk about a movie or a show or anything like that, please let me know. Leave a comment on this video. Talk about what you want to see me discuss. I'm happy to take any suggestions that you may have. Of course, I do have some things that I'm working on as well, and I look forward to getting those out to you guys. I know that some of you have really been looking forward to another Hey Arnold episode of Fright Films, and I know I've kind of talked about that, but that's going to be right around the corner, hopefully. And so I'm excited to get those videos out to you guys. But thank you so much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, definitely check out other stuff I have on the channel. I've got Fright Films, like I just discussed, which is my horror movie and horror show analytical type of program. You can check out some of the videos I have for Nickelodeon stuff, Zeke the Plumber, Hey Arnold, Crybaby Lane, all kinds of videos there. You can also check out more videos on Are You Afraid of the Dark? I've got more impromptu reviews from this season as well as the previous season, Carnival of Doom, plus just impromptu reviews in general. You can check out some of my artwork videos where I draw creepy versions of Nickelodeon characters and things of that nature. If you like this and you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. Leave a like on this video, and I'll talk to you guys next time.